So Radiance is a defense contractor, and we're headquartered in Huntsville, Alabama. We're about 1,000 people, and we specialize in supporting the Department of Defense and the intelligence community doing engineering services, research and development, those kinds of things. And so we're about 1,000 people, and we've been growing rapidly. The Independence Bowl, it seems like a defense contractor is just the natural sponsor for that, right? Then you look at the fact that at that time, and they still do have a tie-in with West Point for certain games, if West Point's bowl eligible. So that's our number one customer, the United States Army. And then there's an Air Force 4-star command just a few miles from here, and that's our number two customer. So it just all seemed to line up. No, I'm not a stranger to Shreveport-Bossier. My first assignment, so my background is I grew up in Alabama, but I joined the Air Force, enlisted as a young man. And, my first assignment was at Barksdale Air Force Base. So I spent 4 years as a B-52 crew chief at Barksdale. And then I left there and went to Louisiana Tech on an Air Force scholarship for a couple of years to get my engineering degree. And then I left there and went and did research and development for the Air Force for several years. So, no, I'm no stranger to Shreveport. I spent 7 years in the Shreveport-Bossier area. So I did what I call the dumb country boy thing, right? I dropped out of high school, married my sweetheart, and a few months later we found out she was pregnant, so then I joined the Air Force. So the first time when I came to Shreveport-Bossier, I was a 17-year-old high school dropout with a 17-year-old wife and a baby due in a month.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, what are the odds that you will live the kind of lifestyle that Sharon and I have lived? Upper middle class to affluent, when you show up, when you're 17-year-old high school dropout with a baby on the way. And they're pretty remote. But I will say, at the end of the day, somebody's got a plan that's not us. The fact that the good Lord put us in Shreveport-Bossier was amazing. So the community kind of rallied around Sharon and I. There were people, many that kind of looked at us and said, wow, they're probably not smart enough to be raising children. And they kind of nurtured us. They made sure we had everything we need, next door neighbors, people like that. So the community kind of rallied around us. Barksdale, the NCOs over there, they kind of, matured me.
That's a nice way to put it.
That's the polite way. Yeah. They kind of helped me mature, become a responsible person, and showed me the art of what was possible. And so we went from a 17-year-olds with a baby on the way, high school dropouts, to being college educated, being mature enough to raise children, being responsible enough to raise children, and having all the skills that we needed to be successful in life. So when I look at Shreveport-Bossier, Barksdale, I just think my life and the course of my life was dramatically changed because of the communities, because of the people, because of all the goodness that is Shreveport-Bossier and Barksdale. I think this is the reason Huntsville's Huntsville. First and foremost, they nurture small business. They nurture startups. They nurture companies as they grow and they get traction. And they've created an ecosystem where everybody pulls in the same direction. The city, the state, the federal delegation. Everybody's pulling in the same direction. And they subscribe to this theory that a rising tide floats all boats. So we kind of put the ecosystem, put Huntsville first in the way we go about leveraging our congressional delegation, our state and county governments, and so business we compete. Lord, we'll compete like there's no tomorrow for contracts. But at the end of the day, without a healthy ecosystem, there's nothing to compete for. And I think that's kind of what you and the EAP and the BRF are trying to help facilitate, is that everybody pulling in the same direction, and everybody looking out for the base and the ecosystem first. And we're glad to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And our problem in our region is we compete against each other for everything rather than accept the fact, okay, that ought to be in Ruston.
Yeah.
The ideal spot for that, Ruston did well. They got that. We need to be happy for them, okay? We need to go back and sharpen our pencil and get better at the next opportunity. Don't sit around and complain to the congressional delegation, well, I didn't get my share, okay? And we've both seen that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, healthy competition raises everybody up.
I do believe it.
But there's a time to compete.
Right.
And that's what we do better in Huntsville, and it needs to emerge here in the Shreveport, North Louisiana area. So we all pull in the funds. Everybody, contractors, government, we all pull in the same direction to get the funding. And then when the funding's in place and the program started and it's time to put out the contracts and compete for it, then we start competing. Here in North Louisiana and other places, it's not unique to this place, as soon as you hear that there might be funding, the competition starts. And it doesn't need to start until the funding's been secured. And
Because the competition can kill the fun.
that's right, because
You and I've seen it. It's all mine, okay?
Yeah.
I got to be the one or nobody. And that will not grow the defense industry in North Louisiana with that approach.
no, and you got all that. You got Global Strike. You got a major command. You got plenty of capability. You got more than enough engineers and software people and various technical skills being developed here in the region. So at the end of the day, it's kind of that you're missing that kind of that ecosystem and collaboration on the scale that is needed to do this. You know, we talk often about, you know, Huntsville and then North Louisiana, and I've talked to several of the congressional delegation members and the governor and economic development people. They want to make Louisiana, you know, you can't make Ruston like Huntsville. You can't make Shreveport like Huntsville, but you can make Louisiana very similar to Huntsville. You can create the ecosystem if everybody plays and pulls in the same direction.